Herschel Walker's past with violence, specifically against romantic partners, has become so clear and present. And what we know for sure now, and then I have an ad to show you just highlighting this, is he is not mentally fit. He is not someone who should be in the Senate, regardless of his policies, which are also bad. Just from a personal point of view, the unstable nature of him as a human being is not one that should be in a position of power. Take a look at this ad that highlights that, and then we'll look at the most recent accuser of him.
Herschel Walker's violence has hurt so many people.
He held a gun to my temple and said he was going to blow my brains out.
His son says Walker threatened to kill us and had us move 6 times in 6 months running from his violence. An ex-girlfriend says Walker used threats of violence to force her to have an abortion.
He said I would not be safe and that the child would not be safe.
Herschel Walker doesn't belong in the Senate. Georgia Honor's responsible for the content of this ad.
Absolutely. And then again, as I mentioned to you, the 2 women highlighted in there just tragic. And then another one comes out and says this.
I believe the deception now is on the American people, and I have to say what I know. I have to tell the Herschel I know.
Cheryl Parsa first told her story to the Daily Beast last week, alleging the former football star physically attacked her in 2005.
He told me, "You want to see a man? I'll show you a man." And he was pressing his forehead against mine. My head was against the wall. He was speaking with such force that his saliva was all over my face. And he had his hand on my throat and my chest. And then he leaned back to throw a punch. And luckily I was able to avoid that. And the punch landed on the wall instead of me.
NBC News spoke with 3 individuals whom she told of this incident in the past, before he was running for the Senate. Her story, not the first allegation of domestic abuse against the former football star. His ex-wife, Cindy Grossman, spoke out in 2008.
He got a gun and he put it to my temple.
Put the gun right to your temple. And what did he say?
I'm going to blow your effing brains out.
And just 2 months ago, Walker's son tweeting that his father had previously, quote, threatened to kill us. Walker has previously...
So truly disturbing stuff. As much of that we've already covered, but it cannot be forgotten. We're recording this Monday. Tomorrow's the election, and in any reasonable world, he would get 1% of the vote. But he's not. He's going to get above 40, and hopefully he won't get above 50 and win, obviously, and Warnock will prevail. But you just cannot have someone like this in such an important position of power. Not to mention the ways in which he should be held accountable in his private life. Here's him, again, just the way that he'll even admit to some strange tendencies, talking about wanting to choke his employees.
And that's one thing I always tell people, no matter what, always continue your therapy, because I'm never going to leave, DID is never going to leave me. It's always going to be with me. And I have 2 doctors, Dr. Jerry and also Dr. Fridley out of California. And because, I have over 800 employees.
This was 2019, by the way.
And let me tell you, when you work with people, they will drive you crazy. Let me tell you, there's sometimes I want to choke them, but I don't. But I have somebody that really want to choke. I have worked with relatives, and your relative will drive you crazy. I'm getting it all.
Now, I'll just say, I work with someone right here, producer Ben. I've never wanted to choke you. I'll just say that up front.
I appreciate that.
Can you imagine how difficult that must be day to day? I just don't get it. And the thing about this is, back in that 2019 clip and a bunch of things that have come to surface in his past, he would be open about saying it's an ongoing process. You should keep trying to get better, keep going to therapy. Now, as we saw in the debate and in subsequent statements, he wants to pretend like he's done. He's through any mental health problems. And he said, I've finished treatment. That's not how it works. You don't get cured forever like you might with some virus or something. It's an ongoing process, as he used to be willing to admit in that clip. He says you should always keep going to therapy. But now, running for Senate, of course, not willing to admit that. We should be able to admit to ourselves, every voter in Georgia, even though they won't, that he's not fit to serve. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to be a part of what makes this show possible, plus get access to the full video version of the show hours before any of the clips are uploaded to YouTube, plus get access to an extra full show every Saturday that only members can see, you can do so by going to patreon.com/Luke Beasley. That's patreon.com/Luke Beasley, and there is a link in the description.